looking back, I'm extremely grateful for it was hard and a lot of people went through a lot of hard times, but looking back, if grateful for that start, for a lack of a better word, because now it's shown us that we can get through absolutely anything. And as long as we're out and we're not locked in our house and we're doing what we love, that there's no more bad days. They're all good days, and there's great days, and everything's going to be fine. And if we can get through that, then we can get through anything.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Orthodontics Podcast. I'm here with a new guest today, Dr. Jon Lambert. Well, I joke, I say. His name is Jon Lambert. Welcome, Jon.
Glenn, couldn't be more honored to be here. Excited to talk about some cows on the Orthopreneurs Podcast, baby. Let's have some fun.
Talk about cows. Well, we'll talk about that later. Everybody listening in wants to know why we're talking about cows. Well, I saw Jon on one of the posts on Orthopreneurs where we talk about entrepreneurial side hustles. And he's got some really cool stuff going on the side. But lo and behold, his story itself of what he's doing and where he's been and what he's doing with ortho in and of itself is exciting. And so as I tell everybody, Jon, start with a little story about yourself or how you ended up where you are today in terms of being an orthodontist.
Yes. So I, like most listeners, I'm an orthodontist by trade. I mostly beg people to brush their teeth and wear their rubber bands. And in between those conversations, hopefully we get some teeth lined up and some bites fixed. I am from the great state of Indiana. And those not familiar with Indiana, everyone's calling it the Texas of the Midwest. And by everyone, I mean almost zero people. But I've been calling it that for 2.5 years. So maybe, who knows, Glenn, maybe after this podcast, it'll grow some wings. I am a private practice solo doc with 3 locations, the first of which was a de novo scratch start right when the plague hit and the world exploded. I met my beautiful wife in dental school. We met in cadaver lab. So we didn't share the same cadaver. She was across the aisle and 2 cadavers down. So I like to say we found love in a hopeless place. She's way out of my league. It's like Shrek and Fiona, but Fiona stayed a princess. All of our wives
are way out of our league. I'm just saying that now.
Fast forward, we moved from the city down to a little slice of land after a journey. We have 4 kids, ages 6, 3, 2, and 3 months, almost 3 months. And life's good, having fun, man.
Right on. So you said you started right around COVID. There's so many people who I hear that story about because you had no choice, right? It was what it was. What was that like starting around COVID? And you bought a second practice shortly thereafter. Mm-hmm. So you were in the thick of it, like in the worst, arguably one of the worst times in dental history, right? To open a practice. And there you opened a second. So talk to me a little bit about what it was like, first of all, to be opening during COVID. I mean, how did you pay your bills? How did you survive? What was your headspace? And then what made you go get a second one so shortly thereafter?
Yeah. So I got out of residency at IU, Go Hoosiers, in 2017, kind of cut my teeth at a corporate office on the west side, got as much experience as I could, saved my money. And then eventually I looked under every rock for a practice to buy, couldn't find one. So I took the leap and converted an old house / Montessori school into an ortho practice. And our first day open was March 4th of 2020, 2 weeks before everything just went insane.
That's legit state of emergency time for most states.
Yes. So, I do believe it is a protection mechanism of the human body to try to block out how bad things were, just for like a survival mechanism. But, it was kind of rough. I found a team. We opened on our first day. We had a great first day. I was like, man, this is going to be easy. I had a Google Voice number on my cell phone. All the new patient phone calls were coming to my phone. I was writing everyone down in a notebook, getting everything figured out. Built this up for like months. Had a great first day, and I was laying next to my wife one night, and she said, "California just shut down." And I was like, we do not have time for this. So we opened, we closed, and then I had a 6-month-old little boy at home. The bills were stacking up. So it was crazy, I kind of furloughed my staff. I was like, I can't help you. It's like, file for unemployment. I'm broke. And, in order to qualify for federal aid, you had to be operating a business by February 15th of that year. So we weren't operating. So I didn't get any federal aid, which is fine. People needed it. And I understand where they're coming from, because otherwise everyone would open a business to get this,
Right.
to get the loans. So we kind of just gutted it out. And the Indiana Dental Association said elective dental procedures are suspended indefinitely, which is basically ortho. So I was like, man, that'd be a lot cooler if they could give me something a little bit more, narrowed down than indefinitely. But, we made it out and we opened back up. And thankfully, like as a scratch, I joke we were the safest office in the country, because we had one person in here at a time. Everything was shiny and smelled like Lysol. And then we didn't have, one thing that was to our advantage is we didn't have 7 to 8 weeks of backlog patients that we had to cancel to refill back in. So we just we worked on our systems, we hit the ground running, and we got going. So, but that year was a tough year to start a practice, just because a lot of people were scared to come out of their houses. And a lot of people were let go from their jobs. And then, it was October. So I was open 7 months. And in October of 2020, we did 4 total starts the whole month. And I was like, man, this is rough, because the practice was like, we're bleeding money like a stuck pig. And I was like, you can't make any money in ortho. Like, what am I even doing? What have I done? I was shortly after the lockdowns lifted and we got to go back to work. I was let go from that corporate job on the West Side because they didn't like the idea of me starting my own practice, which I understand. And I'm grateful for my experience there. It helped me get faster and save money and all that. So I had to call the bank and say, hey, do you remember that cash flow I said I was going to have for my startup? Well, it's gone. But that, as scary as that was, it was kind of the best thing that ever happened to me. It was the safety net was gone, and now it was time to hustle and get after it. And no one's coming to save you, so you got to go make it happen. And I marketed my tail off. I was dropping donuts off at every single office within an hour radius, trying to get my name out there, and referral pads in every office, just so my name was out there. And slowly but surely, things started to climb back, or climb up, I guess, from the trenches, if you will.
But you opened the second one not that long after that, right?
Yeah. So I was associating at an office in my hometown. So it was an existing office, and my good friend and mentor, Seth Ernstberger, shout out to him. The lockdowns had different effects on us. He kind of liked having a little bit more time at home at the time. And I couldn't pay my bills. So he approached me.
Not being able to pay your bills makes staying at home not as enjoyable.
Yeah. Not that enjoyable. So I jumped on the opportunity. I said, heck yeah, let's do this. And so we arranged things, and I took over that practice on November 1st of 2020, because that year couldn't get any crazier. So the good thing is, though, the patients knew me, the staff knew me. He actually sent some of his staff up, because I only had like 2 or 3 staff members at the time, and it was a pretty established satellite office. So there was a mixture of part-time, full-time, localized staff members to get it all together and to make it work. So it was super grateful for that.
So now you have 2 practices. Mm. And is that the one where you bought the grocery store?
Yeah. So we took that over, and then in 2021, 2022, things started to open up a little bit. People were getting stimulus checks, and they started going to the orthodontist. We saw a rise in adults coming in for care because everyone was wearing a mask, and that satellite started to grow on me. So I was renting space out of another dental office in my hometown, and I was working every Friday, and then I was working 1 Saturday a month, and then 2 Saturdays a month, and I was like, what? I'm running out of space. I don't want to work any more Saturdays than that. And so this opportunity came up where a grocery store came up for sale just down the street with like the perfect dimensions. It was like 50 by 80 box. And I went in there. It's funny, my wife and I were on our way to my niece's baptism, and she looked over and said, that'd be a good spot for an ortho office. And that next Tuesday, a for sale sign came up. Wow. I came down on Friday and put an offer in, and it was accepted on Saturday. It was like written in the stars. And so,
but you had no money. You were broke.
Yeah. So this was in 2022. So, okay. But yeah. Honestly, I probably had no business buying it, but I was like, you know what? We're gonna keep our nose to the grindstone. We're gonna make it happen. So, and with the rent I was paying at my other spot, like I could put enough down on the equipment and the building to get my mortgage lower than what I was paying for rent. So it just made sense. It made sense. One, I was out of space. It was almost too expensive not to do it. It was more expensive not to do it than to do it because I was losing out on the opportunity to see more patients with more schedule flexibility and also like a little bit more balance in life, so I don't have to work every Friday and every, multiple Saturdays. But it turned out great.
So now you have 3 practices.
I do.
And did you have an associate that works with you, or do you do it all yourself?
It's me. It's me and an amazing team. But yeah, so right now we're kind of the traveling braces circus. We spend so many days at each office per month, and we rotate our schedule around. And with scheduling out far enough in advance, almost anyone can have any day that they want. 2 of the practices are close enough together where it's pretty cool. They're far enough apart where we can reach more people, more families, and help more folks. But they're also close enough together that if one office is closed on a particular day, they can just drive, 12, 13 minutes to the other one, and we can see them. Or if they prefer an appointment time on a particular day at a particular time, they can have. Our doors are wide open everywhere. So.
How do you? So there's a lot of people out there in your situation who are thinking about your situation. You have 3 offices. You work by yourself. Mm-hmm. How many days a week do you typically work?
I alternate 4 days, 5 days, 4 days, 5 days.
Okay.
Right now, sometimes if I want to take a break, I'll put a couple 5-dayers in a row.
Okay. But roughly about 18 days a month, give or take.
Yeah.
Okay. And so how do you handle your team? For people out there who say, that sounds like a workable solution. I could do that. 3 offices, 18 days a month. How does your team work? Is it the same team that travels to all 3 offices, or is there a core group that stays at each office while you're not there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I have 14 full-timers and 6 part-timers. And some of the part-timers are more localized and they'll stay at one office versus the full-timers. But, I have an amazing office manager and an amazing team and amazing coordinators, and we all kind of come together with a schedule to where everyone's getting the hours that they want, hopefully, but also we're not working them into the ground, and they can have a day off if they like. So it is kind of a complicated Rubik's cube of a practice roster, but it's fun. It's great. We have a good time.
Right on.
Yeah.
Now, we can transition now a little bit into some other stuff because you're killing it with your ortho. But at one point, you decided to start raising cattle. Now, you didn't decide to start raising cattle. There was a whole series of events that led to it. But talk a little bit about, because that's what caught my eye originally on the Orthopreneur's post, was that you raise cattle. Mm-hmm. And so talk to me. You want to put your cowboy hat on and become more of a rancher at this point? There you go.
There we go. There we go. In my natural element now.
There you are, ready. You got the boots on, ready to go.
Oh yeah. So
remember,
we were living in downtown.
Without a hat.
What's that?
Remember that in Texas, you can wear boots without a hat, but you can't wear a hat without boots. Yeah. Remember that. I'm
breaking a cowboy rule. This is still the beaver skin. It's after Labor Day. It should be felt. So,
or straw.
Yeah. So, but it's hot here today. It's like it's upper 70s. So I didn't want to bring out the felt hat.
There you go.
So we were living in a city cottage in downtown Indianapolis, and my wife and I were it got a little crimey there, in the early 2020s. and we had 2 kids. We were running out of space, and we kind of just talked that we dreamed on raising our kids on a little bit of space where they could run free and, raise some country kids. So I went on a journey to look for some land. Now, that's not easy. I would say finding land is one of the major hurdles of trying to get into this biz. I went to land auctions. I looked at, all different listings. One of my favorite parts of the journey, I went to a hog farm auction, and I was bidding on these tracts of land, and these Duck Dynasty bros with real country money just kept raising their number. So I bowed out, but it was super fun. It allowed me to gain the knowledge of what the average price per acre is going on in central Indiana as I looked for other opportunities. And then this very unique, strange opportunity came up as a hole-in-one, if you will. It sounds crazy, and as soon as I say it, people's eyes will open up. But a 9-hole golf course came available. Now, this is not It's not Mar-a-Lago. It's like $8, $9 a round. It's in an old farm field with an 1890s farmhouse on it that's falling apart that we currently live in, by the way. And so, but it had beautiful mature trees that if you buy like tilled land, then, it's going to take 30 years to get a good, get some good trees out there. And we saw the opportunity and we jumped on it. So,
how many acres?
It's close to 50.
Okay. Big.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not big, but by our standards, it's a large piece of land.
Yeah. If you're living in a city cottage with 0.15 acres and you go to 50, it's a lot. I mean, but there's some guys out there with like thousands. So
yeah, I mean, here in Texas, there are ranches with 20,000, 30,000 acres.
Yeah.
So but 50 acres is a lot of upkeep.
Yeah. 3 ortho locations, 4 small kids. We figured we weren't busy enough, so we're like, hey, let's start a small farm.
Nice.
So we started with chickens. And we grew a little pumpkin patch year 1, and then year 2 we added a garden, and we brought 3 beef cattle home this year. So this is my rookie year as a cattleman, Glenn, and nice. I've learned a tremendous amount. But mostly it's just a really good time. I like being out there with them. Gets us outside. The kids love helping with my cow chores. And it's a fun like backyard science project with some stakes on the hoof,
Have you watched the I don't know if it's BBC, but that Clarkson Farms? Have you watched that?
I think I don't think I have.
Yeah, Jeremy Clarkson from Top Gear. He's one of the car guys. Uh-huh. He I think it started during COVID. Actually, he bought a farm near where he lived in England, and it's a documentary. It follows him. I think at least 3 or 4 seasons. Where he starts just, he doesn't know the first thing. Mm-hmm. He brings a land agent in, he brings a farming expert in, he brings a young man in who knows farms, helps him run it. And he's running a real farm. Like he's got, a $60,000 tractor to plow the land and to plant seeds. And, but he starts his own little, farm store. It's really interesting. I think you get a kick out of watching his journey because he doesn't know the first thing about cattle, doesn't know the first thing about sheep, doesn't know the first thing about hogs. And, I guess, how long have you had the cattle for now?
Yeah, so I picked them up from, I guess, like a guy about 45 minutes away who kind of deals cattle and sells different weights and whatnot. I picked them up late March, like March 28th. We brought them on, just right when the grass starts taking off here in Indiana. So they've been here since then, and I plan to have them graduate the program, if you will.
That's the greatest euphemism I've ever heard for slaughter.
in December. And
I never want to go to any school that you run.
Yeah.
Graduation is next spring.
Yep, they're doing well. They're studying hard and they're eating a lot. So we're trying to get some LBs on these cattle. So
usually they graduate at what, about 14, 16 months?
Yeah. So it was kind of one of those things like the barriers to entry or I guess the one thing that I hesitated most on was the infrastructure that it takes to bring cattle onto your property. So you need good fencing, water systems, and kind of a plan. You need to buy feed if you're going to feed grain. You need to buy hay at times if you're going to go grass fed. And so we thought we're just going to start small. We're going to fence off a section of pasture, but I kind of went all out with the fence. Like I don't need to be bonding up an arch and have a neighbor call me and say Betsy's running down Highway 31. So I like kind of went all out with my fence for peace of mind. And then I'm running hoses this year for water. You know, there's a lot of buried pipes that you can do to protect against freezing, but we're just going to dip the toe this year. We're going to bring on 3 beef calves, and we'll keep them. We'll raise them for 9 months before it gets bitter cold here in Indiana, and then I don't have to worry about being an Eskimo and busting up ice in the trough or frozen hoses. So start small and see where it goes. So
Nice.
So what I do is I kind of have a hybrid method. So there's a lot of regenerative farming philosophies out there. I am doing a rotational grazing plan. So I haven't bought any hay all year. So I sectioned my pasture into 6 different paddocks, and they get moved to a fresh patch of grass every week. And they're happy. They like skip to the next paddock and they're ready to go. So every week or 2, it just depends on what the weather and the grass is doing.
Right.
So, there's about 40 days rest until I come back to the paddock that they were just on. So the grass regrows, the manure kind of like goes away, and we keep rotating them to keep them healthy. It's good for the soil. It's good for the land. It's good for the cows. They're happy. But also because I want a little bit of marbling in the meat, I am giving them just a little snack at night, if you will, a percentage of their body weight of feed every night, rain, shine, no matter
It's
what,
amazing.
we're out there. And so it's, I did a lot of research. I read a lot of books. I listened to a lot of podcasts and YouTube videos, but I still you don't know what you're doing until you get thrown in and you actually do it. So I got a lot of friends and family on the hook to buy the freezer beef. So I hope and pray it works out. And
Look, at the end of the
next
day,
year we'll tweak as needed,
your loss isn't going to be huge no matter what happens. And
Oh,
my
yeah.
biggest fear would be how your kids do with graduation day.
Yeah. So we try
They
not to
weren't raised.
name.
They were not raised on a farm. Like if you speak to people raised on a farm, even the ones who do 4-H, they see animals as a means to an end, right? Like you raise chickens and you eat chickens, or you use them for their eggs, or you get cows, you use them for milk, or you sell them, or you saying goodbye to an animal. Very easy.
Yeah.
Your kids were not raised on a farm.
Yeah. Well, thankfully they're still small. So, my 6-year-old I gotta tiptoe around how I introduce this to my 6-year-old, but,
Enjoying dinner, kid?
What?
How you liking dinner? You like steak?
Yeah. So, they're great. I love them. I do. I'm a little bit attached to them, but they aren't like a dog, they don't really let you pet them. These ones are a little skittish, which I kind of prefer. If they were
Right.
coming up, giving me cow hugs, I'd have I don't know if I could ever do it to a bottle calf that I fed a bottle to.
Right.
But, so they're a little skittish. And if I go feed him in its pitch black out, the steer kind of looks at me a little funny every once in a while.
He had it coming, John.
Yeah. So
He had it coming.
So every once in a while, I'm like, hey man, I'm probably going to eat you someday. Calm down,
You're making this too easy.
Yeah. So no, but it's, it will be a difficult. I mean, but they're, fulfilling their purpose here.
Yeah.
I guess.
Right on.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Any other fun plans on the horizon? Anything you want to do entrepreneurial, practice-wise, anything that's on the horizon?
I'm trying to maximize what we got, I want to do double consult rooms at every single office, and just kind of keep taking amazing care of people, providing an awesome experience, and see how far we can take the ortho offices. From a cattle perspective, we're going to unload them in December, and then the spring is going to come around and it's time for the next chapter. So my wife and I have talked about bringing on some, you can buy bred and heifers, bred cows, and then deliver the calves on your property. You can save a little bit of money instead of buying a calf that way. Obviously, there's more risk involved. I think we still want to keep doing feeder calves too. I don't know. Keep having. I want to go big. I joined every cattle for sale Facebook group in Indiana, and I spend too much time on there probably because I want to buy them all. And
well, that's the question.
Yeah,
that's the big question here. Is you're an orthodontist. You're sort of like peak velocity of growth right now for your ortho practices, and yet you're doing all this cattle stuff, which is never going to make you close to the money that you're going to make from ortho. So explain to everybody out there, why does the side hustle matter? Why do you enjoy it? Because people out there are listening going, this guy's crazy. He's spending all this time on cattle stuff and he should be focusing on his practice, blah, blah, blah. Explain to people why you're doing it.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to wear a cowboy hat and boots and not, be able to be called a poser. I want to be legit, Glenn.
Yeah, I get it.
No, it's just a break from the daily grind of brackets and wires and aligners and it's outside. I like being outside. And it's just kind of cool. There's something fulfilling about raising your own food. I think it's only been within the past 100 years that human beings as a civilization in general have stopped either raising their own meat, eggs, or having a garden. Everything is completely, grocery store. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but I don't know. There's just something cool. I guess I like doing it because I think it's cool. Life's short.
It fills a part of your life.
Yeah.
That you need filled, right? You're great. You love doing ortho. You love running a business, but it's not for the money. It's for the soul.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And that's what I try to explain to people. Why having something on the side, whether it's a hobby, whether it's a business, for me, jiu-jitsu is my place where I get on the mat and I don't think about anything. It's time for me, right? And I suspect when you're out there feeding the cattle or that steer is kind of looking at you sideways in the middle of the dark, it's you. Mm-hmm. There's no family there for the most part. It's your own time, you and your thoughts, doing something you enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And I think everybody should have that.
Yeah. And I go out there, like, I don't turn music on. I don't turn a podcast on. I go out in silence and, listen to nature, breathe in the farm and, get my farm chores done. And, it kind of just rebalances me, reminds me what's important. So
it's a great thing, man. Yeah. I love what you're doing. Your story's inspirational. I think for a lot of people out there, they want to complain about being in an area that's too saturated, or they want to complain about something with their neighborhood or their patients or their fees or their insurances or any number of things they want to beat up. And here I've got a guy who started literally at the worst time he could possibly start, buying a second practice at a bad time. And yet you're succeeding. You have 20 team members, give or take, part and full time. You're doing great. You're having a side hustle that you enjoy. So it should be inspirational for anybody out there who finds himself in a tough spot. You can get out of it. You just got to work your way through it. You got to have a plan. You got to have a little bit of guts, I think plays a role. And kudos to you, Jon.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And that story is not like how my start was so difficult. Feel bad for me because
no,
I'm like, looking back, I'm extremely grateful for it was hard and a lot of people went through a lot of hard times, but looking back, I'm grateful for that start, for a lack of a better word, because now it's shown us that we can get through absolutely anything. And as long as we're out and we're not locked in our house and we're doing what we love, that there's no more bad days. They're all good days and there's great days and everything's going to be fine. And if we can get through that, then we can get through anything. And so it's been, it really just was a lightning rod for me and reset the way I look at things, the way I look at work. And I say to myself, I get to go to work today, not like I have to go to work today. And it's just immense gratitude, probably an annoying amount of positivity and excitement. So
and a cowboy hat.
That's right.
Right. So thank you for being here today, Jon. I really appreciate it. I know you brought a lot of positivity and happiness to a lot of people listening to this. And just thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Glenn.